Hello students, myself Dr. Sheki Pratima, Ahmednagar Jilla Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samajaj, New Arts, Commerce and Science College, Ahmednagar. Economic Policy of India since 1991. This is the 9th chapter as per your 11th standard syllabus. In the last few videos, we have discussed that what is the importance about that new economic policy, then the objectives of the new economic policy. And we already discussed that the different three components related to this new economic policy, like the liberalization, privatization and globalization. We know that the liberal policy, the Indian economy will accept that the liberal policy means they abolish the license raj, then they abolish to the MRTP Act and accept the new economic policy which is support to our economy. So in this video, we have discussed that the component in the new economic policy, like the globalization. Basically, we know that the liberal policy means what? They abolish the license raj, then they remove the MRTP Act, then also the permission to the private sector in the state monopoly, and also the end of the FIRA. We accept that the FIRA to the FEMA, like the Foreign Exchange Management Act. Then next is like the encouragement to FDI. See, the foreign direct investment is the encouraged in the high priority industries up to the 51%. It is the initiative stage. Indian economy will accept that the 51%, and next step is like the 74%, and even after few years we opened the 100% in some industries like the FDI. So this part will also the encourage to the foreign technology, means the liberalization has allowed the foreign technology in India in high priority industries. It helps to that it's reduced to the cost and also make the industries the competitive. See, these all things means like the liberalization. This is the main component of this new economic policy. In this video, we have discussed that the second component, like the globalization. We already discussed that the privatization, and it is the third component, like the globalization. In the privatization, we know that what is the importance about that private sector. The concept of privatization can be explained in two ways. In the narrow sense, we know that the privatization means the transfer of the ownership from the public to private sector. In the broader sense, it means like the introduction of the private management and control with all or without change in ownership of the enterprises. Means what? The it reduce the involvement of public sector and increase that of the private sector in economic activity, that is called as the privatization. We accept that the disinvestment policy means we abolished these all the other restrictions and also the disinvestment of the public sector. That part is most important related to the privatization, that is called also like the privatization. So globalization means what? We know that the global policy means we global our economy, we compete to the world economy. The globalization is the ultimate aim of new economic policy. In the real sense, the liberalization and privatization, it leads to the globalization of the economy. Creation of global economy is globalization. Global economy is the borderless economy, having the free flow of goods and services, then also the capital, then labor, and also the technology. So these all things means like the globalization. Basically, we know that the global means free economy. We accept that the free market and also the free economy. So the integrating the economy of a country with the world economy, that is called as the globalization. It removes all the hindrances and the free trade for investment. According to the Deepak Nair, the globalization means it can be defined as the expansion of the economic activity across the political boundaries of a nation. Then World Bank will also explain that the one more most important definition related to the globalization. The gradual abolition of the import controls over all the items, including the consumption goods. Then reducing the rate of import duty. The privatizing the public sector units, that is called as the globalization. So means what? The globalization, the specific, like the liberalization and privatization, it leads to that the global concept. Basically, it means that the creation of global economy, and a global economy is a borderless economy. It means the integrating the economy of a country with the world economy. Means what? We compete that the world economy. Some the factors, if it is available in a country, so that time the globalization is possible. So which factor we have considered? The first and most important is like the communication, the advanced communication. The technological advancement in communicating helps to know the happenings that are taking place in different parts of the world. Then the information technology. Through internet helps developing the countries to learn from the development countries. The develop that part will develop to your countries. Then the transport facility, it's most important. The better transport facility reduces the cost of production and also the cost of transport. It helps to make the good the competitive in the global market. So these all facilities, if it is available, so that's why the globalization is possible. So let's we discussed the next point to the related to the globalization, measures taken for the globalization. We know that this is the most important concept. Why Indian economy will accept that the LPG package, like the liberalization, privatization and globalization, we already discussed. But these measures taken for globalization, it will helps to the increase your economy, it will helps to develop your economy. So let's we discuss the first measure taken for the globalization. It's like the removal of the quantitative restrictions. You know that we have discussed that the liberal policy on that time we abolish the different restrictions, and government will the free provide the free facility, and second thing is like the freedom for the decisions, the industrial decisions. So this is also the important, like the removal of the quantitative restrictions. All the quantitative restrictions have been removed on the import and exports. If you have to taken that the different restrictions, so that time we also the support for that the limited economy. Then second thing is we never improved that the import and export sector. So that's why if you have to the remove those the quantitative restrictions, so that time you improve your the foreign trade. So further the tariff rates have been they brought down the considerably. The import duty on industrial goods have been reduced. So this is the important measure. Then second is the encouragement to the foreign capital. See, the FDI is the most important part. We every time the our prime minister will also the attract to the FDI. They will also the create this the different atmosphere and support for that the FDI. See, the government has opened the economy to the foreign investment. As a result, the foreign capital is attracted towards the various sectors. Indian economy has become a part of global economy. So that's why we encourage that the foreign capital. Then this next is like the convertibility of rupee. See, this is the related to the this part is related to the foreign trade and also the foreign exchange. We know that the exchange rate of rupee has been made flexible. Means what is the role about the foreign exchange market? That exchange market will the transfer to your currency. Means the rupees to dollar, dollar to rupees, and dollar to dollar, and also the dollar to the pound. So the exchange rate of rupees has been made flexible. So the rupee is made fully convertible to all the current account their transactions. Then next the measure is like the foreign collaboration. Indian companies are allowed to enter into the important the foreign collaborations, like the Maruti Suzuki, then Hero Honda, then the Tata Chorus deals of iron and also the steel in South Africa. So that collaboration will support to that particular industries. and also it will increase your the foreign currency, and second thing is it will increase the technology, develop that technology, and it will support to that economic development. So the foreign collaboration is play the main role of our economy, so that collaboration will develop that industry. The next point is the long term trade policy to ensure that the longer duration in the foreign trade. The changes were made by the foreign trade policy. The some features is related to that the liberalized policy, means we accept that the liberalization automatically, that liberalization will encourage to your economy and also support to that the foreign trade. Then liberal policy for that the trade policy, related to that trade policy, it will the gain to your the foreign trade. Then second is the removal of the restrictions on the foreign trade. Throughout I will explain that the foreign trade, it is not the limited concept, it's the most important and the valuable concept. So if you have to remove that the different restrictions, so that time we support that the foreign trade and it will be increased. The next is last point is like the sixth point, the encouragement of exports. There is the short form is like the EXIM policy, means the export and import policy. The exports, the through the EXIM policy, the various the incentives are given to the exporters. We know that the special economic zones, government will open that the special economic zone. What is the main agenda, otherwise the objectives about that the SEZ? That particular area the government will selected, the government will provide the different facilities like the road, then the sanitation, then second most important thing is like the pure drinking water and also the electricity. It is the available for the subsidized rate. Government will available these all facility to the subsidized rate on that the SAYS project. So then second most important role for that the SAYS industries is like the produce those goods which is only the exporting goods. We never use those goods in the domestic level. We already opened that the SAYS, it's related to the exporting goods. So if we create the extra SAYS, otherwise that the SAYS, it will the encourage to your exporting goods. Otherwise it will the improve your the foreign trade. So that is the main measures taken for the globalization. Basically these concept, globalization is the most important concept. It will increase your economy, it will the develop your economy. See, the foreign investment, it's also important. It through FDI, we 100% was the permitted for many industries to encourage the globalization. Then most important, the measures is like the FEMA. We abolished to the restricted policy, the restriction on the foreign exchange rate under the FIRA. It will be established in 1973. Have been the abolished by the replacing it through the FEMA in 1999. What is the long form for the FEMA? The Foreign Exchange Management Act. Means we abolished the Exchange Regulating Act and accepted to the Management Act. Means what? The governmental role it's change. Government not applied to the restricted policy. It will encourage and manage these all things. So that's why that is called as the FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act. That act will the support and also increase the foreign trade. Okay, I think this video will also support to better understood that the concept of globalization. I think you have to understood that. So goodbye everybody.